Hey, y'all, and welcome to another episode of Bedroom Talks, where we get financially intimate. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Marie, and today we're tackling a topic that many of us can relate to: debt. But fear not, because we're going to dive into actionable strategies to help you break free from its grip, create a personalized repayment plan, and set your course to a financially liberated future. Hey, y'all. Get under the covers and get comfortable because we're about to get intimate. No, not that kind of intimate, but close. Did you know that 3 of the most intimate conversations we can have are sex, mental health, and finances? Probably didn't expect that last one, did you? Financial challenges are actually one of the leading causes of divorce and stress today. A big reason? We don't talk about it. At least not thoroughly, anyhow. That's where I come in. Hi, I'm Dr. Michelle Marie, a certified wealth coach, best-selling author, and the creator of Bedroom Talks. Get Financially Intimate, a podcast focused on bringing awareness to the importance of financial intimacy and enticing openness to get real in a judgment-free zone. Together, we're going to cover a multitude of financial topics so you can leap toward financial freedom with confidence. Are you ready? Grab your wine or whatever drink you prefer, and let's unrobe this topic. All right, y'all. So let's just go ahead and get into this. We're going to start off first by talking about the debt dilemma. All right. So, addressing debt is an essential step on the path to financial freedom. Not only does debt create financial strain, it can also lead to significant stress and anxiety. I know that I've had that in my life. And so, I am almost certain that at least half of you might be experiencing the same thing. Okay. The weight of debt can hold us back from pursuing our goals and our dreams, which is limiting our ability to save and invest and make the most out of our hard earned money. Okay. I know that I work really hard for the money that I earn. And when it's constantly going toward debt, it feels overwhelming and draining. But by tackling debt head on, we free ourselves from its constraints, which alleviates stress and creates a space for building a solid foundation for our financial future. It is really time for us to take control of our finances and break free from the grip of debt. So, how do we do that? Right? First and foremost, we have to craft a debt repayment plan. So, I want to go through a couple of tips on how you can craft your debt repayment plan. First, let's understand that in order to get to where we want to be, which is debt free, we have to first look at what's going on. And I know that this can be very overwhelming, but it's also a necessary step. If you don't look at what we have going on, if you don't assess your debt situation, then it's going to be harder to actually get out of debt. All right. So, in order to assess your debt situations, first thing that you need to do is list all of your debts. It's important to not just list the name, list the total balance, list the minimum payments, and list your interest rates. Okay, get everything written down. Then what you want to do is and kind of start building your plan. We're going to get into the aspects of how to do that in the next piece of this conversation here in a minute. But I also want to emphasize that it is super important to create a budget that includes your debt repayment. Okay. And yes, I know we don't love the word budget all the time. Call it a money management system, call it a financial plan, call it whatever makes sense for you, right? But the biggest thing is to create your system where you're factoring all of your expenses in and making sure that it's aligned to your income in a way that's not over your income. Okay. And that includes adding extra for your debt payoff. All right. So, one of the things that we kind of have to do in this process is eliminate some of the unnecessary spending, right? And when I say eliminate, I kind of mean temporarily for most things. All right. So think about some of those things that are not essential, but just you just have going on, like subscription services and things like that. How many of those things can you temporarily cut out for 6 months to a year so that you can focus on paying extra toward your debt and be in a more financially peaceful place? Just think about that and use that extra money to put towards your extra debt payoff. Okay. Another thing that is really useful is to make sure that you have the right system for managing your finances. For some people, they like the pen and paper. So you could go on Amazon and you can look for a budget planner. Some people like Excel. If you have Microsoft Office, you can Google, you know, budget spreadsheets. And Microsoft Office has a bunch of free budget spreadsheets that are already built for you, and you don't have to do the formulas. And then there's apps out there. One of the apps that I love is called the Every Dollar app. You can use just the free version. You do not have to use the paid version. And it works great. It helps you to list everything out in different categories. You can track everything throughout the month so that way you continuously know what is going on. All right. Then kind of let's move into some practical tips for conquering debt. All right. So we already talked a bit about cutting out unnecessary expenses to allocate more funds for debt repayment, right? Such as subscription services. Maybe you can even go so far as to cut out the number of times or reduce the number of times that you're dining out or eating fast food, all right? But another really important process is the debt snowball. So this is going back to the list of your debts that we talked about a few minutes ago. All right. So there are two primary methods to eliminating debt. And one is called the debt snowball, and the other one is called the debt avalanche. All right. The debt avalanche is basically where you're taking that list of debts and you're putting it in order of the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate, and you start attacking that highest interest rate debt first. In most cases, you are likely to save more money if you approach it from the debt avalanche perspective. The challenge that we often have with that method is that it's also usually the highest amount debt that you have. Okay. So, for example, a credit card, someone might have more on their credit card than they have for, say, their car loan. The car loan is going to be a lower interest rate, but sometimes the payment, or excuse me, the balance on the car loan might be below the balance on the credit card. Okay. So you're going to basically, if you have the credit card and that's your highest interest rate debt and you are focused on paying that off, that's great. You could save a whole lot more money that way. But it tends to get a bit daunting doing it that way. It is because it feels like you're just taking little teeny tiny bites out of a huge mountain. So the other option you have is the debt snowball. Okay. The debt snowball is the complete opposite. You're listing your debts from the smallest total amount to the largest amount and focused on knocking off those lower amounts. So say you have 5 debts and one of them is $500, another one is say $3,000, and then you have some that are up into say the $15,000, $20,000 range. Then once you start knocking down those smaller ones, the, few $100, the $1,000, $3,000 ones, you start to build momentum. You start to see, oh my gosh, I can do this. I can pay this off. I can actually see the light at the end of the tunnel. It becomes easier to move through it, and it's a self motivator. In either method, what you do when you finish paying off one of your debts, you take the minimum payment on that debt plus the extra you're paying and put it to the next one. So in the debt snowball, if you pay off that, $500 debt and say you were only putting, $50 a month toward it, but then you had an extra $200 a month that you were paying extra to pay it off, that was $250 a month extra toward your debt, right? So then your next one is, say, a $1,500 debt, and that one had a minimum payment of $75 a month. So you add the $250 to the $75, and now you have even more to pay off towards that second debt, and you keep going. The same is true with the debt avalanche. Like I said, it just sometimes takes a whole lot longer to get there before you can move to the next one, because it often is a much higher amount of your balance. The choice is completely yours. Whatever you feel is most beneficial for you, whatever one you feel like is going to motivate you the most, is what you should focus on. Okay. And I will emphasize that it is so vital in this process to have a mindset shift. Okay. Debt goes beyond the financial realm, exerting a significant toll on our mental health. Studies often reveal that the burden of debt is linked to increased stress levels, anxiety, and even depression. We're constantly worrying about debt payments and financial instability, and can lead to disrupted sleep patterns, strained relationships, and a reduced quality of life overall. When we're addressing debt, it's not just about improving financial wellness. It is actually a step towards safeguarding our mental and emotional health as well. By taking proactive measures to manage and eliminate debt, we are paving the way for a brighter and more peaceful financial future. So, what does this look like? What does this mindset shift look like? How can we make this work? It can be as simple as choosing instead to say, I'm never going to get out of debt, and say, I am going to get out of debt. It is possible for me to get out of debt. Okay. Stop saying the negative, start saying the positive. The more we say the positive, the more we feel it. The more we feel it, the more we believe it. And the more we believe it, the more it becomes so, because we're motivated to make it happen. All right. The other thing that can really help us is to celebrate the small wins along the way. If you decided to forgo your Starbucks drink or your Target run, and you saved $10 or $25, in the sense that you didn't spend it on those things and instead you decided to put it toward your debt, celebrate that. If you paid all your bills on time this month, celebrate that. Whatever it is, no matter how big or small, celebrate yourself along the journey. You're going to increase your motivation. You're going to maintain that momentum, and it's going to help you to get where you want to be faster and with more peace in the process. All right. So one of the aspects of this debt payoff, the debt payoff strategy, is that it guides our financial liberation journey. Okay, so how does it do that? As you're paying off your debt, you're seeing that there's actually more funds there because you're getting stuff taken care of and you're focusing on where your money is going. And when you get to a point where you have enough of your debt paid off, it is opening up funds that were previously used to debt that you can now use to continue to build your savings and put towards investments. Okay. The key here is discipline and consistency in the debt repayment process. Without discipline and consistency, we're going to struggle to get to where we want to be. And I'm going to take this opportunity to just mention that if you are in this process and you're like, I hear you, I get it, but I'm still confused, or I don't know, I just don't really know where to start. Maybe you have questions about the budgeting piece, or maybe there's some other questions about the differences between the debt snowball and the debt avalanche, anything of that nature. I would encourage you to take an opportunity to check out our financial mastery workshop. We have this every month and it is a free resource for you. You can learn more by either clicking the link in the show notes, or you can go to www.financialabundanceblueprint.com/workshop and check it out. See if that's meant for you. And if it is, you can go ahead and sign up and join us at the next workshop. All right. So I truly hope that this information has been encouraging to you. I hope that it is helpful for your wealth building journey. And I definitely want to hear what you have to say in the comments and in your reviews. All right, as we wrap up this episode, remember that breaking free from debt requires commitment, a solid plan, and the right mindset. By implementing these strategies and staying the course, you can pave the way to financial liberation. Thank you for tuning in to the Bedroom Talks Get Financially Intimate podcast. Don't forget to subscribe for more episodes filled with financial wisdom. And until next time, stay financially empowered.